Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about the Cheetah Girls 3 One World. The movie that ended everything. It ended the Cheetah Girls franchise, and just 1 year later, the band broke up. How did they get to this point? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy how Disney Channel actually created an actual girl band. And yes, they were an actual girl band minus Raven. See, after the first movie, they actually became like an actual band group that Disney created. But Raven couldn't tour with them because she was busy with her television show. So the three girls, toured on their own. But then at some point when they did the second movie, all this infighting started to happen that caused a rift for one of them not to be in the third. And then after the movie, more infighting actually happened in the band that caused them to break up. This is one of those things that I would love to see I've seen YouTubers document what happened with the Cheetah Girls and stuff. But I would love if an actual like news show or like network channel like E Hollywood, like that what is it, E channel or E Hollywood like news, whatever it's called. I would love for them to do a documentary and actually interview all the girls and actually make them tell the exact truth as to what all really happened. Because, as we all know, around 2020 or so, Raven and Kylie decided to do like a little reunion thing and spill some of the beans, but not go into detail about what happened. And then we all know that Raven and Adrian, they made up and everything and talked about some stuff. So when it comes to that of the infighting of the group, it seems to be Raven, Kaylee, and that of Adrian. Sabrina was out of the mix. you haven't heard not one bad thing about her, and you haven't heard one of the other Cheetah Girls not say one bad thing about her. So I think she was probably like the neutral person. But it makes you wonder, how neutral was she? I mean, she is best friends with Kaylee still to this day. One of them was each other's maid of honor. So it does make you wonder if she just sat by and watched everything implode, or did she get into the mix as well, but not as bad as the other girls. It does make you wonder and stuff. But whatever, I'm just glad Sabrina hasn't been like mentioned badly, because boy, I'll tell you what, I was head over heels when I saw her in that first Cheetah movie. It was like, who are you that I've never seen before? And everything. Because I'm like, I have never seen her before. Like, who are you, mystery person? I ain't seen you on Disney Channel. I ain't seen you on Nickelodeon. I haven't seen you act. I haven't saw you sing. But thank God you are in this movie. So this movie came out in 2008. And what exactly caused it to make the franchise go away? What exactly happened that caused this to be the lowest rated Cheetah Girl movie, being third? With only 6.2 million viewers, but halfway through the movie, it bounced up to 7 million. So what exactly happened? Well, I have some suspicions and stuff. But I've already reviewed the first movie a couple of, like maybe a month ago. I have not reviewed the second yet. I'm gonna save that for October. But you don't have to really know what happened in the events of the second to go on with this, because it's pretty much just always something new. Now, once again, each movie has a different director. And you can tell because each movie has like a different vibe to it. I'll say this once and I'll say it again. Actually, you didn't even hear me say this once. Because I haven't put out the second video yet. But my favorite one is that of the first movie. It has a really good vibe to it. It's the only one, in my opinion, that feels real. And I mean, just real, you know what I'm saying? It's about these girls of color. They struggling in New York. They want to be like this huge band. And so they have to try to be local, but they want to be international stars. You know what I'm saying? And so they're working their way up to the top, just like a lot of bands do. They're practicing really hard. There's cat fighting here and there. And like, it just had like an actual vibe that made it feel like something you can actually see somebody, going through. You know what I'm saying? The music is timeless. You can play that over in your head over and over. One reason why I can is because I've seen the first one multiple times, whereas the second and third I've only watched one time, literally a couple of days ago. And I just watched the third one yesterday. And so like just like the vibe of the music in the first one, it was like pop mixed with like R&B. It just had that like early 2000s feel to it. You know what I'm saying? Even the clothes, they felt very realistic. It felt like something, a teenage girl would wear, or like a band trying to be something, you know what I'm saying? And their clothes always had like a cheetah pattern to it, because they were the cheetah girls. Then come the second movie, that's when things started to get a little bit unrealistic. Now, the second one was bigger and bolder and everything, but the fact that they went all the way to Barcelona, Spain was just so unbelievable, because still they are at the bottom and had not reached the top or even reached the the middle yet. Like they're just performing at like graduation high schools and stuff like that, and they haven't like made it big. They don't even have like an album out, or and stuff like that. And with the second one, it was no longer karaoke music, a musical. It was now like an actual Disney animated musical, where all of a sudden people broke out in song and dance for no absolute reason. The songs, while good, had a completely different vibe to them. They was more stronger, more impactful, more soulful, slightly bit more R&B-ish, but losing that pop vibe. Also, their clothes changed. They wore like some fancy teen clothes all throughout the movie. And then sometimes you wonder how, especially when Dorinda is supposed to be like dirt poor and everything. Then when it came time for them to perform, the only time they were dressed like cheetahs is when they was performing, I think, at the graduation party. When they was in Spain, they were just wearing all these fancy clothes and, like very rustic looking. And because it was shot in Spain, it had a different vibe to it. Gone was that realistical American vibe of like American girls trying to make it, and now they're all the way like in Spain. And the way they got to Spain is that hokey Disney Channel stuff of, oh, let's wish on something, and then the pages fly in the magazine, and oh, hey, look, plot armor and everything. And then, so it's like with every sequel, it started to strip away what made the Cheetah Girls the Cheetah Girls. Plus, in the second movie, they weren't all that interested in trying to perform and all that stuff other than Galleria. So it's kind of like, do they even want to be a band? Then you come here to the third movie. And the third movie, once again, has a completely different vibe to it. Once again, they are still not at the top. One of their band members is gone in a different, like, I don't know what she had, different state or something like that. Like, well, probably even a different country or something like that. Because now they're on their way off to college. They started when they was either in the 8th or 9th grade. In the second movie, they was in the 11th. And now they've graduated and ready to like move on to college. And so they're still struggling. Because in the movie, like, the girls are performing for somebody, but now Chanel is kind of like the main girl, and she's daydreaming of this big, huge performance and everything. And it had that old school cheetah girl vibe to it when they was performing, just like in the first movie. But then it turns out it's just her daydreaming. So I'm like, okay, if she's daydreaming of making it big, that clearly means they have not made it big. So what the heck have they been doing for the past 5 years if they haven't made it huge yet? You know what I'm saying? And so the guy who they're auditioning for, he doesn't want nothing to do with them and stuff. So it hurts their feelings. And, so with this movie, um, the girls are, the character development has like grown. And it's to the point where Aqua finally has a storyline. Yes, after two movies, Aqua finally has a storyline and she's prominent in the movie. She just doesn't appear in the beginning, appear once in the middle, and then disappears only to pop back up in the end. In both movies, the first two, she just completely disappeared and everything. And it was just like weird. So she's finally given the storyline. We still don't know what her mom looks like. As for all the other girls' moms, they are not present in this movie, especially Galleria's mom, who is supposed to be their manager after the second movie. And so it's kind of like, what happened to Chanel's mom? Is she still married to that guy? Like, what's going on? And so with Aqua, her storyline, because they could never figure anything out for her in the other movies, they decided to give her a love storyline, which I've already said before. If they have to give you a love romance storyline, that means they have nothing for you. So apparently she's really smart with electronics. Who would have guessed? Because we don't know nothing about her. And she's in love with this tech support guy who she's never met before, but she loves the sound of his voice. So she keeps tearing up her laptop just so she can call and get him. Weird. And when you look at her, it's kind of like she can get a guy. So why is she panning over a person's voice? Like, you know what I'm saying? And so with that, that was the most realistic thing of the in the movie. Now comes the start, the point of the movie where it starts to get that Disney Channel feel of how the heck are they able to do this? Just like with the second movie. So there's this one guy who's Indian, and his real name is Michael Stegler. He's Indian American. And so, oh, by the way, like when they do travel to India and stuff, a lot of the actors and actresses are actually American. Some are British, and some are actually born there, were born under like British rule and stuff. Which is interesting because nobody speaks Indian in this movie. Like, not one person. Which, in the Spain movie, some people spoke Spanish. But here, you have an Indian movie where there are no, like, Indian speaking people. And so, like, he wants to make a Bollywood movie called Namaste Bombay. And so I guess he sees like an ad in the paper with the Cheetah Girls number. So he calls them, wanting them to be in his Bollywood movie. The girls are hesitant because they're all like, yo, that's the other side of the world. Like, we don't want to travel that far and everything. And college is just in 2 months away and everything. But, they all like agree to go, and so they go. And the first thing you have to ask yourself is, how the heck did they get the money for room and board to fly to India of all places? Also, if they are struggling and barely made it famous, why in the world does he want them to be in his movie and stuff? Also, why do they want to be movie stars? The whole point of them is to be singers. So that already goes against the first movie of what their whole mission is. Their whole mission is to be famous singers and everything. Now, they said that, like, what did I say? Oh, yeah, they wrote Raven's character out and everything. And so, like, they go to India. Now, it turns out when he gets there that, like, he lied. He only is supposed to get one actress for his movie instead of three. So his uncle is furious and said he doesn't have the budget for three girls, only one. Now, here is the problem that just don't make no sense. If he only needed one actress for the movie, And I'm assuming he lives in India or something like that because that's where the movie's supposed to be filmed and his uncle's over there. Or maybe he's just living in America. Or like, who knows? It's never really explained. But then it's kind of like, if he doesn't have the budget to, take care of all three girls and put them in the movie, how are they having room and board, and how are they able to fly over there to India? Where are they getting this money from? They're not rich. But then again, Chanel dad, stepdad is rich, but they never said anything about him flipping the bill. Also, if it's supposed to be an Indian movie, why do they want somebody all the way from like America? You know what I'm saying? But then it turns out that his character, I didn't say his character's name, I said the actor's name. Vikram? Vikram. That's the best I can do. What I was gonna say. Crap. I forgot. Lost my train of thought. Oh, it turns out he has a crush on Chanel. So that's the main reason why he wanted her to be in it and stuff. So the Uncle Kamel tells him that, like, okay, look, girls, you're just gonna have to audition for the part of the movie. Whichever one of y'all gets it, gets it. So this causes a rift with that of the cheetah girls. Because they're all like, they don't want to compete against one another. So maybe none of them should do it and everything. But, the uncle and the one dude said that, it'll be a fair competition and stuff like that. Well, at some point in time, the girls meet a guy named Swami said G. And he has them tie like a rope, like on like a branch, something like that, and make a wish. And so all the girls have different wishes, which causes a rift between all the girls and stuff, right? Now, before I go any further, let me just say this. A lot of people don't like this movie. And the thing is, it's not a bad movie. It's just a bad cheetah girl movie. And it's because the cheetah girls really have no point in being in this movie whatsoever. The movie's not even about them. The movie is more about all the new Indian characters. So it feels kind of odd when all the big main storylines revolve around the Indian characters and the cheetah girls just happen to be there feeling like they on vacation and stuff. And the thing is, I wish they just would have took the cheetah girls out and made an Indian movie where this guy's looking for like, a lead actress. Because there's some other characters I haven't mentioned yet. And it's like, this one lead actor who has a huge crush on this one girl who's like a dance choreographer. And, there's this tech support guy who's in love with this girl. The movie should have just been about that. Why couldn't the movie just be about that? I love the idea that there is Indian representation on Disney Channel. That was a first, I believe. I don't think there's ever been an Indian character in the year prior to 2008. It would take nearly, when did Jessie come out? When did Jessie come out? Oh, Jessie came out in 2011. So that was like 4 years. It would take about 4 years, 3 to 4 years, for them to have another Indian character to be a main character on a Disney Channel show. And remember, Disney Channel's been making live action stuff since probably around like the late 90s. So this is like the first. So this is like huge. And I mean, this is huge representation for Disney Channel and stuff. And so, like, it should have just been about the Indian characters and take the cheetah girls out. It just feels like they wanted all along to make an Indian movie. But, around that time, remember, Americans weren't like, because of September 11th, they was treating a lot of Indian people, Muslim and Arabic people very badly. So they was probably getting cold feet and like, okay, hey, let's just throw like the cheetah girls up in there and everything, like, to balance it out, so they won't be like getting like upset and stuff like that. Now, with this being an Indian movie, we do get to see a lot of like cool stuff. We get to see their cities, their streets, their buildings, their palaces. We get to see elephants, man. Like the cheetah girls literally ride in on an elephant, and that's awesome. We also get to see their modes of transportation, like with taxi cabs, and how different ones look very different. Like we get to see one taxi cab looks traditional, another one that has three wheels, one in the front, and then we have the ones where it's like a guy holding, I don't know what you call it, like a coach type thing, and he's like running and stuff. And a lot of people don't get to see stuff like that. We also get to see some really nice Bollywood dances and stuff. Because remember, around this time, Bollywood was starting to come to America, where nearly a lot of shows, even cartoons, were doing it. The first time I ever saw a Bollywood number was on So You Think You Can Dance. And that was a reality dancing show. And I remember the guy who did the dance, who choreographed it, he's Indian. See, whenever I see Bollywood in like an American production with an American cast doing it, I get terrified. Why? Because the choreographer for So You Think You Can Dance said that you have to get your hand position correct. One slight mistake, turn it the wrong way, tilt it the wrong way, it could be offensive, and you could literally offend the entire country of India, because hand gestures mean something differently over there than it does over here. And so when I see sometimes a bunch of Americans doing Bollywood numbers and stuff, some are really good at it and others are not. And I'm just so terrified. I'm like, oh God, please get your hands right. I don't care how you're dancing. Just get your hands right. Because I've seen Bollywood on like the Jesse show. I've seen it on, what's his name? Johnny Bravo. The Cartoon Network cartoon, when they had like an actual animated movie where he went to India, and it was a Bollywood movie. And it was one of the highest rated things on Cartoon Network. And so we get to see all the beautiful clothes. My God, the clothes are beautiful and everything. We get to see some animals. I think we get to see like a cow. We get to see elephants. But we have those over here. But it's always fun to see animals in different countries. Like, that's an animal from another country. We get to see some of their food. Not a lot, but just some. And they name one of the foods, but I forget what it's called. We get to see women with those jewels on like, their foreheads. We see women like in the fields doing something with like the grass. We see, I don't know what this was about. It was just people dancing at random. I don't know what exactly it was for. But then again, like I said, this is a musical now where people just dance and sing at random. One problem with this movie is that there was never no Indian music played. Like there was never no people singing in India. There was no traditional song there. It was just all American songs. And even when the Indian characters would sing, they would sing very like the Cheetah Girls, and they were singing in English and stuff. So it's sad that they couldn't do anything like that, you know what I'm saying? Because that would have been really nice. But like I said before, if you were to take the Cheetah Girls out this movie, you would still have a movie and it would have nothing to do with the Cheetah Girls and stuff. So I still don't understand why they just didn't make it into like an Indian movie and stuff. So going back to the movie and the characters, like Aqua, because in the other two movies, Aqua was just Aqua. Like that was it. We didn't know nothing about her. Like, and her personality changes with every movie. In the first movie, she's rude and very snippy. In the second movie, she's nice but a little snippy. And now in this movie, she's like nerdy, fanning over a guy she never met. Until, in the most Disney Channel way ever, that this is so unbelievable. So the tech support guy finally calls her back, and they're talking, and she's talking about how she can see the sunset, and he's like, he's like, he can see the sunset. She's like, wait, hold up, we must be in the same time period. And he's like, yeah, I live in India. She's like, really? Like, do you see like this building that's shaped like this? And he's like, yeah. Like, then they turn around and they're meeting each other. What? First of all, India is not one big city, okay? And everything. So it's like for her to be all like, "Do you see this building?" It's kind of like, dude, you know how many buildings are in India? You know how many buildings are around when it's a sunset? You know how many like cities there are in like India? But then it's the fact that like he just happens to be in the same city that she happens to be in. It's the most coincidental thing ever. That does not happen. So they instantly just fall for each other. So she finally has a love interest. And he talks about like how, his parents control his life and, he doesn't get to do what he wants and stuff like that. And so like we never get to see it. And that's the problem right there. He tells us this, but we never get to see it. Like with the other parents of the other movies, we get to see what makes them so uncomfortable around their kids. So then it turns out he lives in a mansion. That's right, he's rich. His family lives in a palace. And he's an IT guy of all things. Where she's confused by that because she's all, but and it is interesting because it's like, ever notice that like a lot of IT people, tech support people come from India? And it's because those like American companies, they try to like, save money. That's why a lot of stuff in America is made in other countries. And so, like, he uses his influence to, like, have, like, the movie shot, like, I guess, like, in his home or something like that. And he uses his influence to get, like, Aqua the part in the movie, which pisses off the other girls. Now, by the end of the movie, he decides, you know what? I'm gonna move to America and go to college. And he talked it over with his parents and they're okay with that. So now he's gonna spend the rest of his life with Aqua, a person he's doesn't even really know. Just the sound of her voice and her computer problems. And all of a sudden his parents are totally okay with that after they didn't want him doing things like that. So it contradicts like what we know about his parents, even though we've never seen them. So Chanel in this movie is interesting. She really doesn't have a story because this movie really doesn't have a real plot, period. Like, I'm not joking. The movie really just does not have a plot other than they're just supposed to make a movie and that is it. We don't know the difficulties of making the movie or trying to get the props and all this other stuff. It's just we know they're going to make a movie. And we don't even get to see what the movie looks like when it's done or any of the filming and stuff like that. So anyway, she's non-existent in this movie, which is shocking because 1, she was the co-lead in the first movie. 2, she was the lead in the second movie. You think she would have a bigger role, but she doesn't. And so when she finds out that like Karam like likes her and stuff, that's just basically it. She starts to like him back, and that's literally it. But then he's all like, I'm gonna pick you for my movie. But Amar, played by that Kunal Sharma, I think that's how you say his name, had picked Aqua. So this of course pisses her off. And that's basically it when it comes to her. I'm not even joking. She really doesn't have like a storyline like whatsoever. And then we have Dorinda. The most of the story mostly focuses on her and her character development. So the only thing we knew about her in the past is that she's a really good dancer and she's poor and she doesn't know what her race is because she's adopted. And so in the second movie, she ended up dating another dancer in Spain, and they had a long distance relationship, but they finally both decided to break up because long distance is too hard. She's heartbroken over this, and when he tries calling her, she will not answer. So throughout the entire movie, she is in a mood, and I mean a mood. Now you gotta remember something about this movie. Raven was the only real actress, who was in the Cheetah Girls. The other girls were either singers or a dancer. So because of that, the acting isn't always that great, but sometimes it's just okay. And so Sabrina was never a singer and never an actress. She was a dancer. So, she's trying to do the best that she can. And, she tries. Let's just put it like that. But one thing I will say is that every time she gets in like an attitude with somebody, that's when her acting's really good. So it does make me wonder, did she ever fight with the rest of the Cheetah Girls in real life? Because she's really good when she gets angry with people. So anyways, she's been in a mood the entire movie. And so when she goes to India, at first she's kind of just like hating on men. You know what I'm saying? And she's also acting really weird and paranoid. Whenever an elephant looks at her, she's all like, "Did you see that? That elephant just looked me in the eye. I don't like that." And she does that like 2 or 3 times in the movie. And it's kind of like, dude, it's just an animal looking at you. That's what they do. Like, what is her deal? And it's almost like she thinks something evil is gonna happen, or like a curse or something like that. So it's just a weird plot that happens in the movie with her. However, one of the things that she did, I'm offended by. See, when they don't know which girl gonna be in the movie, they had a dance choreographer. So the dance choreographer, Gita. Now I'm not sure how to say the actress's real name. The Piti Daria Ariani or something like that. I'm not sure how to say her name. But like, she's trying to teach the girls how to do like Bollywood dancing. Only for that or Dorinda to get really pissed off, get in her face and tell her, "Are you trying to say I don't know how to dance? Because I know how to dance. Let me show you my dance move." And so she's just like dancing, and I'm just like, what has gotten into her and everything? Like, she must really miss her boyfriend to get like so disrespectful in a different country. Because you gotta remember, she's trying to teach them a dance from another culture, which they do not know how to do. And it's just odd. And when she starts dancing, I guess the other cheetah girls start dancing, and it's supposed to be this big like thing they did, but it's kind of like, dude, that was so disrespectful. So then we meet that of the lead actor. And the lead actor is like a big movie star, right? And I forget, I think his name is Raheem. And he's played by, I can't say his name either. Rapal Jin or something like Rapak Jin, something like that. I don't know how to say his name. My bad. And so he's a really nice guy, but he's kind of like clumsy and stuff like that. But he has a huge crush on Gita, and she has a huge crush on him. And so like, he spends most of his time with that of Dorinda, and they just really, really bond. At first, I thought those two were going to date, and there was going to be like a love triangle, but there wasn't. She's actually trying to help him, get over, I guess, his fears and talk to her and everything, which was a really nice thing to do. And it causes her to finally calm her behind down. Because when she first heard about, like, Aqua meeting her tech support guy, she's like, no, long distance don't work. I need to talk to her. Which is really smart, because long distance does not work, but Chanel would not allow her to interfere in their relationship. But she was only looking out for her best interest, because she went through a long distance relationship herself, and she knows how hard that can be. And so, like, Talking to him really calmed her behind down to where she called up her ex-boyfriend and apologized on the answer machine and told him to call her back. So later on in the movie, it turns out like all three guys tried to get all three girls in the movie by influencing the director and producers and stuff like that, which causes a huge rift between the girls because the girls think, oh, I thought this was going to be fair. And here you are stabbing me in the back and trying to be in the movie and blah, blah. So they break up because of that stupid reason. And I mean, it's literally a stupid reason. Neither girls didn't even really talk to each other about that. They just looked at each other and assumed the worst. It was almost like Disney, the writers just didn't care about that. They're like, hey, let's just have them split up because they break up in every movie. And of course, what makes them come back together? Literally about like a minute later, they look at each other, start singing, and now they're back to being friends again, and the band is back on. This has literally happened 3 times already that we know of. It happened in the first movie when they broke up. And then, but it was that dog that got stuck in like a hole that brought them together and they started singing. Then in the second movie, they didn't want to practice, which caused Galleria to want to just leave the band and go to a different country. And then all of a sudden, they just looked at each other, started singing, and they was friends again. This happens for like the millionth time. Like, why are they a band? If they fight over the dumbest little things, that's not girl power. So then, they're all like, you know what? If you need a lead for your movie, just get the dance choreographer girl like Gita. So then she ends up being in the movie, and then her and the lead actor start dating. So then all of a sudden, you think you're watching the movie being filmed, but then all 3 cheetah girls are dressed up in Indian clothes, dancing and singing along with the rest of the cast. And apparently all the guys can sing too. And so then it's kind of like, well, hold up. Are they actually in the movie, or are they just singing and dancing for no reason? I don't know, because the producer man's all like, I only got money for one girl and that's it. So then why all of a sudden they're in the supposed movies? I think they're just singing and dancing for the fun of it, and that's it, and the movie just ends. And I'm just kind of like, where was the actual plot? Like, why are they there? And why are they in India of all places? They could have literally just done this in like America, but of course Disney Channel loves going to these like exotic places. And the problem that people have with this movie, and you know, they eventually killed the franchise along with all the fighting and stuff, was that when it comes to this movie, right? Like I said before, it was never about the cheetah girls, despite the name of the title. They're just there to be there. You take them out and you still have a movie. The girls don't even dress in their cheetah girl outfits when they ever perform. Their characters don't act nothing like they did in the other movies. Which I get it, character growth and development, but you gotta have some of your old traits, and they don't have none. They're not dancing the way they dance. They're not singing the way they normally sing. This movie has nothing to do with the cheetah girls. It has literally stripped them of their entire identity, and more importantly, this movie had nothing to do with girl power. The first movie was all about girl power and the message, you know, because the Spice Girls used to say it, Pink used to say it. They're like that as well. It is literally a bunch of strong, independent girls who want to be better at what they are and want to be a band. That was the whole premise of the first movie. Then coming the second movie, And it starts to strip away once again what the cheetah girls are about, because the reason why they went to Spain was the most bizarre thing ever, because it was only Chanel going there to meet her stepfather, and the other girls wanted to go too, and all of a sudden they won a trip there. And I'm just kind of like, that's the dumbest thing ever. But still, they wanted to perform in this like festival and everything, and there was some rigging going on, this and that, but they still strived, and they were still able to do the job. But more and more, it started to strip away who they were, and the whole idea of girl power just went completely out the door and everything. So now when you get to this movie, a movie that has nothing to do with them, and it has nothing to do with girl power. It has nothing to do with like the cheetah girls, their music career, nothing. It is literally a pointless movie. And it sucks saying that because of all the representation that is in this movie. Like Disney should have made an Indian movie. Like they really should have. And left the cheetah girls completely out of it. Now, the problem with the third movie is that these three girls are not actresses. Raven was the only true actress. Age, I forget her name now. It's Kaylee and Adrian. They've done small acting before, like on Taina and stuff like that, but they've never really had their own show. Other than that, just the Cheetah Girl movie. And of course, Sabrina is the dancer and not an actress. So the acting isn't as strong as it should be because you got three leads who aren't trained in acting. So that's a big bummer right there. The songs are nice, but they're not as good as they were in the first two movies. The dancing is nice, but once again, this doesn't feel like the Cheetah Girls. Once again, they're in an exotic, like different country and everything. Once again, they are like bigger than life. When how did they become bigger than life when they're still trying to struggle to get notice in America and everything? It's like too much good stuff happens to them and everything. And it's just out of like a Disney wish type way, you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, let's send them to Spain in some bizarre way and let them get in the festival and be bigger than life. And then now it's like, oh, let's send them to India for some bizarre reason and have them be bigger than life over there and all this other stuff. Like another good thing with like, the third movie is that the plot is a bit different. All three girls have to compete against one another to try to be in that movie. So at least that's something different. But they really should have recasted Galleria's character. I mean, they've recast a Raven role before when she was in Xenon because she wasn't in the second one because she was doing Dr. Dolittle. Then she came back for the third movie. They really should have casted another person to play her role and somebody who can actually act. And also, they need another like lead singing voice. Adrian can't be the only like lead singer and two backup singers, So because of that, the movie was just always never really gonna work out. And so there was supposed to be like a Cheetah Girl television show at one point. But then, because the girls, they actually became an actual band, like these three and everything. They started making CD albums and songs. They were basically a rebranded 3LW. But then of course, sales weren't as good as they wanted. There might have been some more bickering and everything, and they decided to break up. So the thing about, the Cheetah Girls is like, I've always loved the first movie. I just love that vibe of these, like, girls of color, black, Hispanic, and then, of course, Adrian's multiracial. I forgot she also has African in her as well. And they're just like these multi-race girls just trying their best to be famous. And, things don't always work out their way, and they have to figure out a way to do it while also keeping the band together. But then once you get into the sequels, it just goes for the whole Disney Channel original movie, be bigger, bolder, and put you in an exotic country and stuff. But I still think Cheetah Girls have potential. I would love for this to get rebooted and rebooted properly, basing it more on the books and having five girls in the band because, Aqua's supposed to have a twin sister. Like Cheetah Girls One World, a third movie, it's not a bad movie. The only problem is it's not a Cheetah Girls movie. Like this doesn't feel or look like Cheetah Girls whatsoever. It's like everything that made Cheetah Girls was just like stripped away with each like passing sequel and everything. And that's a real bummer and everything. Cause like I said before, this had a lot of like representation in it from another country. However, if this movie were to have done better, and even if, you know, it would have done so good it could have got a fourth movie, that would have never happened because then they would have to, well, fire one of the actresses because Adrienne Bailon halfway doing like production and everything, some explicit photos of her surfaced online. Now she claimed they got stolen from her laptop at like the airport, but it was later revealed it was a publicity stunt to try to get her away from her Disney Channel image. Really, you couldn't just say, hey, I don't want to return. I don't want to be in my contract no more. Or better yet, just suck it up and be in Disney Channel. Because like all she was doing were the movies. It's not like she was really in a television show. I mean, yeah, they did want to make that Cheetah Girl television show, but I'm sure something else could have came up. Like, why do something like that? Like, I don't understand some of these people. I get it. You're not a cookie cutter, like, sweet pea type person, and you're tired of that Disney image. But there's a lot of good perks that come with Disney. It makes you a household name. They put you in tons of TV shows and movies and stuff like that, and they help you out with a music career. What was she doing after Disney Channel? Not a whole lot of nothing other than like dating like a bunch of guys and being controversial with that Rob Kardashian guy and stuff. Yeah, she had that talk show along with these other girls and stuff, but eventually that imploded as well after a couple of years because they all couldn't get along with each other and stuff. It's just like, I don't get it. Like, you can tell she wants to be a superstar. Like, when she performed in the third Cheetah Girl movie singing, she acted like the biggest diva ever. She's a combination of Jennifer Lopez, Whitney Houston, Celine Dion, and Mariah Carey. Like she literally embodied all those people, and instead of giving it 100%, she gives 1,000,000% overacting when she performs, sings, and dances and stuff. Because she was literally hyped up to think she's like, who she reminds me of? Nicole Scherzinger. That's who she reminds me of. Always acting bigger than what she is. But because the thing is, Adrienne Bailon, she can actually sing and everything. She has like the look. She's an amazing looking person. She is very talented. But she always finds some way to screw things up in her career. And I don't get that. Like the whole 3LW thing, as to why they broken up, because they kicked out that one band member and then supposedly because of racism and stuff. Like, I don't get this crap, man. Like, why? She's so talented. She's so gifted. And she is huge representation. Why do you screw your career up? It's interesting to see how much the girls have grown from what they used to be, because, when I think of this picture here, I think that like this is the Cheetah Girls, them together, them being strong, them being fierce, them being powerful, and them having girl power. And it just started to crumble after that because there was so much infighting. Raven, Kaylee, and Adrian literally couldn't get along with each other and everything. Because in the second movie, see, I told you before, Raven was unable to go to that of the touring and stuff. So because of that, the three cheetah girls became very close. Because of that, Raven felt it was too cliquish for her. She felt ostracized. She felt like she was like a fourth wheel to their trio and everything. And it was also cat fighting going around, she said, and part of that was because of her, because she has an attitude. And so those three girls constantly fighting. Gone was Raven. And as much as I hate Raven Simone, and I hate Raven Simone, she needed to be in this movie. Galleria was a big part of the franchise, you know what I'm saying? It's one of the reasons why people watch those movies. She was the only real actress there. She has a powerful singing voice, you know what I'm saying? Because the band has two leads and two backup singers and stuff. And it just started to be much, much different. And if they couldn't get her, they should have at least recasted her. They done that with the Xenon movie, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know why they didn't do it here. And it's also weird because, Raven was a co-executive producer on the second movie. But, it just is what it is. It's just like you get these three big personalities. They can't get along with each other. And, they just broke up, and it sucks, man, because they were supposed to have their own television show. They were supposed to have more albums and everything. What could have been, man? Because the Cheetah Girl was a big thing for people. This was the first time people at times saw themselves represented on Disney Channel. You had like a black girl, even though she don't think she's black, she thinks she's dark white. And I'm talking about Raven. Then you have an actual black girl, Kaylee. Then you have Adrian, who's just all kind of stuff. She's like Hispanic, she's African, she's Dominican Republican, which is also Afro-Latina. Then you have Sabrina, which I forget exactly what she is. I think she's Latino, something else. I can't remember what, but it's something. She got some mixture in that face, you know what I'm saying? And it was about these four fierce girls, trying to take the world by storm and conquer the music industry. And now it's all gone. Like, it's literally all gone. And it sucks, man, you know what I'm saying? Because if they were to get if the other three girls to get better acting lessons, and Sabrina will get a bit more better singing lessons, and have Kaylee hit those high notes, and Adrian and Raven doing their thing, wouldn't nobody be thinking about no Hannah Montana? Nobody would be thinking about Hannah Montana. You know what I'm saying? They could have literally owned the world watching them and stuff, like Hannah Montana did. But like I said before, it is what it is. Really, like I said before, also, Kaylee and Raven, they've made up. Raven and Adrian, they made up. But I think Kaylee and Adrian are still rifting between each other, I think. And Sabrina and Kaylee are still best friends. She said when it comes to the other two girls, it's just they lost touch with each other. We know what that means. That means they're not vibing. I don't like the way you talk to my girl. We not vibing. So we just need to go our separate ways and stuff like that. Alrighty. Well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.